Here it comes, here it comes. I have been thinking about doing this video for quite a while. After all, if you can have curried shrimp, if you can have curried goat, why not curry pork? This, of course, as you know, is pork scaloppini. And I just thought, why not? After all, cooking is an art. Well, cooking is fun anyway. And it's a creative way to have fun. So I thought, why not? I used my usual little tiny camera to film this. You know, I use a little camera, relatively inexpensive, just in case it falls into the soup. Anyway, here we go. This is how I did it. I mentioned earlier that I used pork scaloppini. Now this is a very interesting meat, I think. It's $1.56 a pound, and it's 1.65 pounds, so my $2.57 was well spent. In my case, I simply used the pork. I cut it up in bite-sized pieces, as you can see on the screen, and I used a lot of onions. The base I use, I call the base, I don't know what the correct term is, but I did sprinkle it with some soy sauce because I wanted my seasoning to stick to it. Seasoning mean the very simple, of course, salt and pepper. Actually, I used no salt at all because the soy sauce was salty enough. Anyway, it's very simple. The pork scaloppini with a lot of onions and very few seasoning. And I did use black pepper. Come to think of it, perhaps I should have used that other pepper. Does the term Scotch bonnet pepper rings a bell? Anyway, on I go. As you know, I don't use margarine. Not unless I simply cannot help it. My choice, of course, is butter. Why? Because butter has one ingredient. It's called butter. If you read the package of margarine, read the label on margarine, a lot of those words I cannot pronounce, and I certainly don't know what it's doing to my system. I would rather not use margarine. I don't know what it is, really. Anyway, along with the butter, I added some curry powder. This is the brand that I like. I like this particular curry powder. And once I mixed the curry powder in with the butter, I melted as much as I could. Anyway, the next evolution was to add the pork. The pork has been sitting there for a while, soaked in soy sauce and black pepper. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I should have added that other pepper, don't you think? I think it would have added a lot more flavor. Anyway, you know how it is when you're experimenting while you're cooking. You're sort of just cooking whatever it is you have. So once that was somewhat brown, I did add some more curry powder because I thought it needed some more. It just didn't look right. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but it just did not look right. In addition to the pork that has been added, I added onions. Now here, I'm going to tell you, I used 2 onions. I should have used 3 or 4. It would have given it a lot better flavor. But then, hey, we live and learn, right? If you're going to make this dish, add as much onions as you possibly can. It'll taste better, I think. So, to recap, we added pork scaloppini, onions, along with some curry powder. And of course, I added some water because I wanted some gravy in the thing. And quite frankly, no other liquid had been added so far. So I added some water, so all we needed to do now was start. And by the way, you see those little white things in there? They're dumplings. This is strictly optional. I wanted to add some sour cream dumplings to all this, and I did. I'm glad I did because it sort of made the flavor interesting. So now we have the pork scaloppini, onions, and then of course I added some dumplings. And once it started to boil like this, all that was left to be done was to put the thing on simmer because the meat were in just small bites anyway. So I put the lid on and left it to simmer. The next evolution was to cook some rice. Now, as you know, in cooking rice, the formula is very simple. 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. And here I added one of those packaged bouillon cube bouillon. You know what I'm talking about. It's a little bouillon that comes in a package. I added 1. And then I added 1 cup of rice. So it's 2 cups of water, 2 cups of liquid to 1 cup of rice. And here, very simple, we simply stir it to get it going. And once it comes to a boil again, all we have to do is to put a lid on it. And once we put the lid on it, we turn the stove down to a simmer, because that way it'll cook simmering. Now, if you want drier rice, you just open the lid just a wee bit to let more liquid out. Other than that, put the lid on and then forget it. I should have cleaned my lid, shouldn't I? Anyway, about 20-25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes later, dinner is served. I got my little bowl right here. In that bowl, I added some rice, flavored rice, chicken flavored rice. Actually, you can hardly taste the flavor anyway. I think the butter added more to the rice than that packaged soup thing. And then I added my curried pork scaloppini. By the way, I have made so many wonderful friends since I've been making these cooking videos. My style of making the cooking videos is a little different than a lot of people's style, and I enjoy what I do. My friend Rick always leaves me a comment, and then my cousin saw one of my videos. As a matter of fact, it had to do with having bananas with your breakfast, and he liked the idea except for one thing. He did not want to have blue cheese with his eggs. Anyway, the fact that he looked at my video is something that I really appreciate, just as I appreciate you looking at my videos. Take care and keep your suggestions and your comments coming. Thank you.